Thank you, thank you. I hope everyone's happy today. My name is Nate. I'm the CEO of the Snoqualmie Valley Chamber of Commerce, and I have to give a little quick local plug. Tourism season has started. They have turned the waterfalls on. So bring your friends and family, stay a while, eat in the local restaurants, and visit all that Snoqualmie has. I was really interested to hear Arden's presentation just a minute ago, and her whole thing about I forgot someone's name in an awkward situation. And it just reminded me of this hilarious story. I was just out of college. I ran into a girl from high school I hadn't seen in years, and I just could not remember her name. She's like, "Hey, Nate." And I'm like, "Yeah." And then I finally had this brilliant idea. I was like, "Hey, give me your email address and we'll connect. I'll email you." I'm like, "Perfect. She's got to tell me your email address. It'll spark something." She's like, "FluffyBunnies39 at Hotmail," and you're like, yeah. Totally didn't work. So anyways, I really appreciated that, Arden. It was great. So today we're going to talk about networking, and everybody's probably talked about networking until they're blue in the face. But networking is a passion of mine. I think there's a great way to do it. I think there's a fun way to do it, and there's a very energetic and entertaining way to do it. I love giving this presentation. Normally it's a lot longer, so today we're going to focus in on one very small portion of it, and that is making yourself memorable and being able to tell great stories as a way to do that. So, my name's Nate. I love to network. Some of my friends coined the term Nateworking, so I own that now. Webster's Dictionary says networking, the exchange of information, services, blah, 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 all this stuff we've already known. Nate's Dictionary, embracing the idea that people are freaking awesome. Nice. You have to understand this if you're going to be a great networker. You have to embrace that and understand when you go to a networking function or any situation in life, be passionate about understanding other people. All right, the next part about it is asking great questions to find out what people are passionate about. Whatever people are passionate about is what they're going to take action on, and the more you know about that, the better off you will be as a networker. And then once you know that, it's about helping them put their dreams in motion. So somebody talked about follow-up earlier. No better way to follow up with somebody than when you've learned what they're passionate about and following up with them, tell them how you're going to help them achieve that goal, right? We can send the handwritten note all you want, but I'd rather get a call every day that said, "You remember that perfect client you were looking for? I found him for you," right? All right, other people. We talked about this. I love this quote. "You will accomplish more in the next 2 months developing a sincere interest in 2 people than you will accomplish in the next 2 years trying to get 2 people interested in you." I live and die by this. Take it to heart. Tim Sanders said this. Tim Sanders is author of a book called Love is the Killer App. Some of you may have heard about it. He blogs at sanderssays.com. I read it every day. I don't read MSN and CNN, blah, 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 Fox, whatever. I start my day off with this because it's all positive business news. The stock market's going to crash whether you read it or not. The book is all about compassion, giving away information, connecting others, and getting out of the way, and doing so unselfishly, expecting nothing in return. Now, there's a lot of books out there. There's a lot of networking books and all sorts of stuff. This is the only one I've ever read, and I read it 10 years ago, and I've read it a couple times since, and it's the only one that I've put into practice. So it's not to say there aren't other great books out there, but this is my Bible when it comes to networking. So a few things about what networking is not. Networking is not sales. Now, I'm part of a program called Leadership Eastside, which is a leadership development program in East King County. One of the things they talk about as being a great leader is being able to have your own idea and opinion about something and fight for it fiercely, but also understand that you might have your mind changed, and that's okay. However, this is not one of those situations where my mind will be changed. Networking is not sales. Sales can be a product of good networking. It should be an outcome somewhere along the line, but networking is not sales, and it's very important for people to distinguish that, and it solves a lot of frustrations as people go into networking situations. Networking is not about you. Again, you can't change my mind on this because I've put this into practice, and I know when it becomes about other people, you'll be a successful networker. And it is not a one-to-one ratio. So many times people think, I went to the event, I got nothing out. I gave out a bunch of cards, nobody followed up. I introduced this person to somebody, I got nothing in return. It's not a one-to-one ratio. Networking is, however, a long-term strategy. It's not overnight. It's not about handing out cards at one event and boom, you've got the world at your fingertips. It is a lifestyle. You're not just networking at the event, networking all the time. And again, in my longer presentation, I talk about this, about ways you can network while you're not at events. In fact, at events, a lot of times it's the worst place to network. When you're at events, you're collecting stories, you're collecting information about other people, you're getting to know them. That's where you're gathering. The networking happens in between. And it is about helping other people succeed. And again, there's a ton of techniques that we can talk about in a different day and time, but it's all about helping other people achieve their goals and what they're passionate about. So when are you networking? We talked a little bit about this, but I hear this all the time. I went to that networking event and I didn't get any value out of it. Now, what do people mean when they say this? Nobody bought anything from me while I was there, right? So when I hear this is another one of those things where I don't accept this. That's like if I'm standing here with a 5-gallon gas can and a lighter and I'm saying, I can't light a fire. I cannot figure this out. You're just not putting the fuel with the spark to make it happen. And so when you go to networking events, you go in. My job at a networking event, most of the time I don't even bring cards. People are saying, can I have your card? No, I didn't bring any, but I'd love to have yours and listen to what you're all about. What are you trying to do? You're there to gather stories. Now, gathering these stories is about the focal point of what I wanted to talk about today, is making yourself memorable by gathering and telling great stories. So, I've often heard this from people when I talked about networking. They say, I'm so good at selling other people. I could sell everybody all day long. I could tell you about 8 other people you need to know and why they're great, but I hate selling myself. And it's always been looked at as that was a detriment or that was a bad thing. And I've been in conversations with people where they've sold me on meeting 8 other people, and then they tell me they suck at networking. I'm like, what? You're a rock star. You just did what great networkers do. So own this and be okay with it. Embrace it. So become great at telling stories. Make yourself compelling and memorable. So I'll give you an example. When I'm out networking in Issaquah, when I was working at the Issaquah Chamber, one of our members was a collision repair center, Precision Collision. And I went on a tour of their place, and their vice president took me on a tour, and he told me about this thing they do where every year they fill their garage with wrecked cars that they get from insurance companies that are totaled. They bring in firefighters from all around the Northwest, and they do training on jaws of life on these wrecked cars, because if you cut a Subaru here, it's different than cutting a Toyota here. And they're training these firefighters on this to extract people 2-3 minutes faster from a collision. This is awesome. I'm hearing this going like every other collision place out there is just telling you how fast they'll bang out your dent. This guy's, social services, training firefighters. It's unbelievable. So I love telling the story. So I kept telling it and telling it. Finally, one day I'm telling it again in a group, and somebody raises their hand in the back and goes, oh yeah, I remember you told that story, and I got an fender bender, and I took my car to there, and I told him I heard you tell the story, and that's why I went. It's memorable. People that will stick in their minds. And to top that story off, the reason they do it was because the vice president of marketing's family was killed in a car accident when he was very young. So it was passionate. It was a passion for him. It was something he wanted to correct out there that he saw a need for. People buy why you do something, not what you do. Maybe you've heard that. That was his why. And so that story became memorable. And I heard other people telling it, and it becomes viral very quickly when you have those stories. So it's very important to gather these when you're networking, so you can go out and tell stories about other people, and in the process making yourself more memorable. In a networkable moment, stop and ask yourself, how many people can I connect through this? So an example, at the Chamber of Commerce luncheon, we have people, there's a jazz bar in North Bend, top 10 jazz bar in the country, written up in magazines, called Boxley's. Now, Boxley's will donate a $50 gift card or a $100 gift card to our luncheon. We give it away as a prize. And I always tell people, if you win this prize, what are you going to do with it? Oh, I'm going to take my husband to dinner and we're going to have a great time. Okay, well, if you got your networking hat on, what I would do is I would take that gift card and I'd say, sorry, honey, you're neat and everything. I'm going to call up the owner of Boxley's, Danny Kolke. I'm going to go, Danny, I just won your prize, your gift card, and I'm going to invite one of my friends from Seattle who's involved heavily in the jazz scene down there. She runs a jazz group, and they're always looking for great places to go, and I'm going to bring her in, and I'm going to use the gift card that we won for dinner, and when I get there, I'm going to introduce you. What's a great time for me to come in and bring this person in so you guys can make that connection? I'm going to have dinner, introduce the two of them, and they're going to get together and make that connection. So always be thinking of how many people can you connect through a moment that I call networkable. Are you prepared with a memorable answer when people ask you, how are you? How's your day going? How's business? So many times you run into somebody at the coffee shop and they say, hey, how are you? How's it going? Oh, I'm so busy. Oh my gosh, I'm busy. Man, it's just crazy. I don't know, life is just nuts and mad. And this weather is just insane. So think about that. Pretend that person then is going to happy hour later in the day with their friends. Are they going to sit down and go, oh, I ran into Perea today. She is so busy. Can you believe it? She even said the weather's crazy. That is nuts. You guys should talk. And people are looking like, what? Instead of having a great answer for these. So this is something we talk about, preparing for the theater and the stage of life. Prepare for these questions. Have great answers. Talk about something productive you've done that day or somebody phenomenal you met. I went on a tour of the Nintendo Distribution Center in North Bend recently, and I was blown away about all the robotics and automation and the tracking and everything. And I ran into somebody that day, and they're like, hey, so how's it going? I was like, you're not going to believe what I did today. I was in this warehouse. They were shipping video games all across the country. It was amazing. Really? Wow. And it's amazing how unexpected that is, right? When you have an answer other than, oh, I'm super busy, and oh, the weather's crazy and all that. Practice these, especially if you're going to a networking event, right? Practice these, think about it, collect stories about other people and say, what am I going to have at the ready when somebody asks me these things? Make yourself memorable and pretend that whoever you're telling it to is going to go to happy hour with their girlfriends that night, and you want them to go, guess what I heard today, right? Okay. So that's it. That's the bulk of the presentation, but there's time for questions. But anybody but Pia can ask questions. Pia.
So my dad was a masterful networker, and he could remember stories that had been told at other networking places. He just had a really good memory for that, and I'm just wondering if you have any tips, because I really love when someone actually remembers a story that I told them, and then 2 weeks later, like, how did that work out for you? So how do you become better at that? Do you go write notes after the networking group, or
yeah? So I would always say, especially in your follow-up, is quality over quantity a lot of times. And so when you really have somebody you want to follow up with, or you had a really memorable experience with it, take the time to commit that to memory, because you don't just have to tell that story right away after it happened. I mean, my precision collision thing happened years ago, but if I've committed that to memory because it's so cool that I want to practice it. I want to have, it's not a, I just met an accountant today and they're good at math. It's a really exciting thing, and you want to memorize it and commit it to memory, and not just because you feel like you want to tell an awesome story. You want to do it on behalf of the person that you just met. And so I've had people call me back and go, God, I remember that thing you told me about at that collision place. What was the name of it again? And I'm like, winner right there, because it was memorable, and they're coming back to me to ask for the info. So guess what I'm going to do? Introduction directly to them, both people on an email. Hey, I was telling your story about the collision repair thing, and so followed up, and they need their car repaired. So practice it and commit to it. It's you gotta like was said earlier, prepare for when you're going to be on stage, especially before events. Any other questions?
I have one.
Yes.
Do you have tips, like if I've been at a networking event and then I come out and I've maybe got some action items I want to follow up on, what are some of the ways that you have trained yourself, and what are tools that you use to follow up with things you know are actionable?
Great question. So one of the things at networking events that I try and do is, like I said, it's quality over quantity. And so my networking event action items are going to be maybe no more than 5. And it's going to be with people that I'm talking to as I'm learning about them. And if there's a follow-up item, I'm going to state it in the conversation. Here's what I'm going to do. This is going to be great. I'm going to introduce you to so-and-so who I know that needs to know you. And then as soon as I get done with the networking event, I'm going to write down those 2, 3, 4, 5 introductions. I'm not going to walk out of there with 40 cards. I don't want 40 cards. I want 2, 3, 4 people that we have quality interactions with, that I know there's a follow-up. See, that's the other thing about follow-up. People go, well, nobody ever follows up. Well, what was there to follow up about? It was great to meet you at the networking event. The meatballs were awesome. let me know if your fence blows down and you need someone to rebuild it. I mean, like what? So that's why I try and create those follow-ups, because I know I've got an introduction to make for so-and-so. I met you there, and oh yeah, my brother's looking for a CPA. Raj, I'm going to put you guys on an email together tomorrow and introduce you guys. That's a solid follow-up. I mean, that's real. I'm not going to waste my time with the guy that I barely had time to chat to across the room, and I just grabbed his card, and I'm going to go, hey, it was great to see you across the room. You know, we set ourselves up for this follow-up failure a lot of times because we expect it's like 30 cards or 40 cards, and nobody followed up. Well, what are they going to follow up on? So, yeah. Yes?
This is somewhat along the lines of what Beth does too, but if you're a more inward person,
Mhm.
and you're getting ready to walk into an extroverted scenario of networking, do you have kind of a quick something that someone can do to kind of get yourself ready?
Yes, I love talking to introverts about networking. They're oftentimes the best networkers because they're great listeners a lot of times. And when you go into a networking situation, again, this is a part of my bigger presentation, but when you go in with the mindset of, I'm here to learn about other people, I'm here to ask questions, don't take your cards. Just walk in with the mindset of, I'm just here to ask questions and figure out who's who. And the more you can listen and then come back and internalize that, you can probably make really powerful introductions based on what you learn, and you'll surprise the heck out of people. You know, you didn't get the handwritten note, but hey, I introduced you to so-and-so that needs your services. Would you rather have a handwritten note or a potential introduction to a client? I mean, so networking is not about always being gregarious. In fact, a lot of times it's the opposite. It's what you do after the event. And a lot of times it's just psychological. It's your mindset. Well, how are you walking into the room? Am I walking in feeling nervous because I got to get my elevator pitch down, which I hate elevator pitches, and I got to tell it just perfectly, and then I've got to meet like 30 people? Or are you walking in going, hey, I don't care if I tell anybody what I do. I'm here to just learn about them. Total mind shift. So, well, I think that is all the time we have for questions, but I will be around if anyone wants to chat. So I appreciate it. Thank you.